Hello and welcome to the second session of Madhubani Painting just for the beginner. To watch this video in Hindi, you can check the link in the description box below. Now before we start, I'll quickly summarize what are we going to learn today. Just like the last time, we are going to learn to do the motifs in the easiest way possible. And I'll show you some tricks and techniques to do motifs in different ways. And today's theme is fish and some simple geometric patterns used for the borders. So stay tuned and let's begin. So for this video, the material is not that relevant. This is just a practice session. But still, I'll just tell you, it is a simple paper, a little thicker paper. It is like 150 GSM. And what I'm using to sketch is a waterproof pen, a marker. So this is just a practice session. This is not, the material is not relevant for this video. But anyway, let's begin with the sketching. So try to first practice straight lines, try to draw the straight lines freehand without the scale. So this is how you do it in the right way. So try to do it on both sides, because I'm also going to show you the corner, how to do the corner, because usually we get stuck at the corner, how to make exactly the corner when you are doing a pattern in the border. So we start here basically for this design at the corner. So I'm going to just make circles for this design. This is a very simple design, but when you do it for the borders, it looks really, really beautiful. So this is how you draw. You start with the corner and then you go on the other side. So this will not create a problem when you are trying to do the design. So this is how we do it. And what I'm doing here is one circle is, I'm going to shade it with those fine lines, with the hatching technique that we use always for the Madhubani painting. And this is one type of border that we made, and one we leave blank where we'll fill in color later. So now this is one type of border that we made. We will again draw another kind of a frame, one part of the frame, to see another border. So this is how again we do it. We just do the double lines for the border. And usually when you make a double, triple lines for the border, they really highlight once you fill in colors. So they really look good once you are done with the borders. So this is another very, very simple pattern that I'm going to use for the border. This is another geometric pattern. This is just sketching triangles. And again, as you see, I started from the corner. So this, gives me a sequence when I'm coming on the other side. Now again, I do the double lines for the triangle. You can keep it without the double lines because you fill in colors. It still highlights if you fill in a light color. But if you're using a dark color, the double lines really helps in highlighting the motif. Now, as you see, I'm just using the same fine lines for the other triangle on the back side. So basically, creating a shading on the other side, the other triangles that comes on the back side. So this side is just, we leave it blank where we will fill in colors later. Now this can be made in different ways. So I'll show you two more ways how to do the same design, but different variations for it. So just pay attention to it. And this is how we just try to create the borders. Now here what I did, instead of leaving it blank, I merged all the borders. So leaving a square in the corner. So the corner stays like that. It stays like a square there. And we simply draw those triangles as we did in the first design. So this is my border. And this is kind of a second border pattern and variation 1. So again, as I said, I can show you another variation, which I'll be showing you now. So again, we'll try to make that frame the corner that we used to for all the borders that we do it. And this is how we create the corners exactly like this. And then in this, we just also merge the lines to the corners, but we merged it only on one side, not on both sides like we did in variation 1, where we created a square for the corners, but we merged just on the one side. So you can choose your side, whether it is the horizontal side or the vertical side. It can depend whatever you choose. So we just repeat those designs in different variations. So these are basically 3 different ways you can draw the same design, but giving it a completely different look. Now we will see how to color these beautiful borders that we created. So as you can see, I'm using red, which is a very beautiful color and which really makes a difference when you do a Madhubani painting using a red, and it's a bright red. So this is how you can do it in a way to color. Now there are 2 ways to do the same border number 1. So either you make the background completely black or just leave it white. Both looks good. So whatever you feel like, whatever way you like it, you can do it. For number 2, simple, those triangles which we left blank are supposed to be filled with red. Now for the variation number 1 that we did, I just forgot to make those double line triangle inside, but you can also do it without that. So both looks good in a different way. Just those, when we create those double lines, they highlight the motif, which I find very beautiful when you do it in Madhubani. So this is how we try to color and complete our border. So our next topic is fish, and you may have noticed a lot of times many fishes made in different styles of Madhubani painting. So now as you see how we sketch the fish, it is very easy. So you have to just try to create a leaf-like pattern, and for leaf-like pattern you have to just make a curve. So after making the curve, you have to replicate the same curve on the lower side. And then you have to create the tail, giving the same angle on the bottom and the top, and then joining them with the typical that angle that is used, or the curve that is used for a fish. Now I'm just trying to darken the lines, the outlines a little bit. And this fish, I'm going to show you how to make it once you fill it with Kachni patterns, the patterns that are completely used to fill inside a fish to create a kind of a Kachni fish. Now Kachni is basically a distinctive style of Madhubani painting where you fill the motif completely with different and intricate patterns. Now as you notice, many times fish has been used in Madhubani painting or is still used in Madhubani painting. Why? Because fish is the symbol of fertility and prosperity in Madhubani painting. And when an artist wants to show wealth, abundance and prosperity, they use the symbol fish in various different types of paintings. Majorly, if you see Kohobar painting, it's a very important element of Kohobar painting. So now going back to the sketch, how we have to sketch it. So this is the first variation that I am showing you, how to do different kinds of fishes in Madhubani. And in this, as I said, these are going to be filled with different and intricate patterns and not colors. So as you see, I'm just using the fine lines inside here, the lines that I created. And now I'm just trying to create the scales in beautiful design and just trying to make again a little bit darker line to mark it, filling it in black inside. And then I'm going to just shade every alternate semicircles that I created for the scales with those fine lines. After that, again closing it with parallel lines, 2 or 3, and then drawing these tiny scales because I'm going to fill it with this. Now just note here, between these 2 scales, then below when you are drawing, you have to draw every time the new scale between 2 scales. So this creates a different kind of a pattern, kind of not a monotony, but a pattern which looks more interesting. So it basically breaks the monotony. So this is how you try to fill the entire fish with those patterns. Now we also need the fins of the fish, and for that I have used simple semicircles to create it, as you see, and I'm just trying to darken the outline a little bit. So here we are not going to use double lines because we are not going to fill in colors. So this looks beautiful by just making it a little darker. So the double lines, when you use, basically when you are filling in color, it really highlights. So for this style, you can just darken the outline. So this is how you just try to create checks in every alternate semicircles that we created for the fins and try to replicate the same on the other side. So as I said, the trick is very simple and you have to try to replicate it. Try to fill the design now completely inside the body of the fish, and this is how it looks like after filling, and the other side also just trying to finish the design. So this is how it looks like. Now just trying to darken the outline again, because here when you darken the outline, it highlights again the motif. So there are different techniques basically to do different types of designs. So this is the first one that we are doing, the first fish, and today we are going to cover 4 different types of fishes. So I'll show you 4 different types of designs and techniques how you can do it. So this is our first fish. Now again we'll do this different fish but the same style, the Kachni style. So what you can do is just practice these motifs and these different patterns. By the time you will be an expert, and then we will make a painting together where, as I said before, we are going to use these same motifs and same patterns. So as you see in the second fish that I'm making, so I have made it a little different. The same curve we use for the top, and for the bottom I have used the same curve but extended it a little bit. And now in this extension I'm just trying to create some curvy patterns for the tail. So this is the second fish, the outline basically. Now we look at the face or the mouth, the opening for the mouth, that is also a little different than the first motif. So basically it's to show you how you can use different types of patterns, different types of motifs to create the same theme or same kind of a motif, like a fish, for example today's theme. So this is how we do it. Now exactly as you see, I am going to show you. So we replicate everything, and as you see that the sketching is very easy when you just try to measure it with your fingers and try to make a mark and then try to draw the motif exactly like that. So this is completing my fish, outline of the fish, and then try to fill in the patterns. Now as you saw in the number 1, we filled it with small scale like patterns, small semicircles. But for this fish, we are going to use a completely different pattern. So first we are going to fill the fins that we created with simple fine lines, every alternate, just like in one, but we use checks there. Here fine lines. And we are going to work on the tail. So for the tail, I'm using spirals. So for every alternate, I'm going to fill it with spirals. So I'm going to use for the other one. So basically the 2 ends with spirals and the middle one will leave and will fill dotted lines inside. So this will create a different kind of a look because 2 ends will be a little darker due to the spirals and the dotted lines will be a little lighter. So again, as I said, we are going to create a different pattern. So just here working on the near the face part, and then what I'm going to do is just try to create these tiny motifs just to give it a little bit decorative element to the fish. And I'm going to divide it from the center to the tail just with a random zigzag line, so it won't be a difficult way. And similarly just repeating it, double lines, and filling it with entirely with black color. Now we have to do the filling. So what I'm going to do is fill it completely with the dotted lines. Now for the dotted lines, I'm going to do it in 2 different directions. So for the top and the bottom, different directions. So creating just like a V, if you see, with those dotted lines, and try to fill the fish entirely with these dotted lines. Completely fill both the sides that we created. So completely fill it with dotted lines. Just the direction has to be in 2 different ways so that it looks like a V when they merge in the center, which is darkened with the black random zigzag line. So this is how our second number fish is going to look like, and this is another one that we made in the Kachni style. So this is our fish number 2. Now after this, I am just going to show you another 2 types of fishes. So these are the 1 and the 2, all filled with intricate patterns, Kachni style of fish. Now I'm just going to change the paper, and now what I'm going to do is show you 2 different fishes in Bharni style. Now, if we talk about Bharni, what is a Bharni style? Bharni style is basically, as the name suggests, it's like comes from the word bharna in Hindi, which means to fill the pattern with colors. So now these 2 fishes are going to be really colorful. So just have a look at it. So this is the same way that we did fish number 1. Similarly, the pattern, the outline is remaining the same. Just you have to pay attention at the details inside. So here also we are going to use some elements of Kachni where we fill it with some intricate patterns. But the overall style is a Bharni because we are going to fill it with colors. So this is how we do it. The eye needs to be big and bright and bold. That is another unique feature of Madhubani painting. And now just trying to make the outline a little darker, or you can instead use a little thicker pen if you have to practice. But if you use this also, it's good. You know why? Because it helps you practice. It helps you to practice to be, to concentrate, which is very important when you are doing Madhubani painting. Concentration and patience is the key to learn this art, or for that matter, any form of art. So now we move on to the design that I'm going to create inside the body. You have to pay attention here. So the same scale that I made for the 1. Now this is a variation of number 1 design of the fish in Bharni style. But here, now the scales that I created to fill inside was intricate and was little tiny. Here I have just increased the size because once you fill in colors, they are going to look beautiful. Now the same way, I'm just creating the scales, but you see here what is the difference, that I'm going to make double lines. Why? Because they are going to highlight the motif. So this is how we do it, because once we fill in colors, the motifs are going to be highlighted by the help of these double lines. Now even the fins that we made is almost similar. So here creating those straight lines and joining with the curve, as we learned in the session 1. So all those guys who have missed the session 1, you can just see the link in the description box below and have a look at it. That is about different floral patterns that we created last time. So now we are going to fill in also here every alternate with those fine lines. So this is our fish number 3. So by this time we have learned 3 different types of fishes to make in Madhubani. Now this is the 4th one which we are going to make. So similarly, the curve that we make, replicate it on the other side. And don't be scared, just try to do it freehand. It will come. Maybe you'll make mistakes in the beginning, but just try to do it. Practice. Everything comes with practice. So just try to do the thing and the 2 curves. And then now here, concentrate on the tail. I'm just trying to make it a little different here. And just trying to give it a little zigzag pattern and a different kind of pattern this time for the tail, which makes it look really, really nice when you try it on a bigger painting that you are making. So here, as we see, also here the fins that I'm making are of a different style. So this is basically trying to match it with the tail that we made. So this is also a different kind of fin that we made. So we learned basically different types of fishes, the different shapes, different types of tails that we make. So different parts, how to make it, how to create in Madhubani, but different motifs, different styles. Now here, as you see the scales that we created in the fish number 3, we are going to do it a little differently for the fish number 4. Now here I'm just going to also create a different pattern. I used circles here. So now for the scales, it's a very simple zigzag line. Just do it 3 to 4 times. It looks very beautiful when you fill in colors, which you will notice when I start filling in colors. So this is how you replicate it on the bottom. Just try to practice this probably on a rough sheet before you do it on the final painting, and this will really help you. Also, this is a very good exercise for concentration when you try to practice these lines and do it multiple number of times, trying to make it parallel. So it really helps you concentrate. So again, those circles that we made in the top, doing that. And now here in the fins, just trying to fill it with fine lines. So this is again our number 4 ready. So we basically learned 4 different types of fishes. So the 1 and 2 we don't need to fill in color because it was a Kachni pattern where we tried to fill in the fish completely with just intricate patterns as you see here. And now is the number 3 and 4 where we are going to fill in colors. So I'm going to use red again because red is actually my favorite color. So I'm just going to use red. But here as you see, I'm using it in every scale in one line, that lies in one line, but I just left a line in between and every alternate lines are supposed to be filled with red. Also similarly for 4, every alternate space that we created, we are going to fill it with red. Now again, color is your own choice. So for example, in my case, red is my favorite color, but it may not be yours. So you can choose your own colors, but this is just an example to show you how you can create different types of, ways to fill in colors. So this is one very, very easy way when you are trying to create a fish in Madhubani style. So this is what we are trying to basically learn today. And in this session, we basically learned how to sketch Madhubani motifs in the easiest way possible. So your duty is to practice this motif, and that is why I said material is not relevant. Just try to practice it on a rough sheet. Probably use any pen just to practice it. And we will meet for the next session where I'm going to show you exactly to make a nice and beautiful fish painting. In fact, we are going to use all these elements that we learned today. So now as you see, I'm just going to fill yellow color for the tail, for the fins and for the face. So I repeat here for both 3 and 4. Now this is just showing you that with the same colors, just changing a design a little bit, we can create 2 different types of fish. So we are almost there. We are almost done with the session today. It got a little extended today, but it was really fun to do these paintings for you. I'll put all the 2 pictures of both fishes for you so that you can watch it in the end and try to practice it on your own before we meet for the next time. So thank you so much guys for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and put your comments in the comment section so that I know what you felt about this video. Also, stay tuned for much more and check out all the links that I have put in the description box below. Thank you so much. Bye.